So this filter is just to remind me not to click on videos that have this, to not get re-triggered later. I'm upset today just because I got a decision by the health board, or health and review board. It's based on my appeal for the College of Nurses of Ontario, of what their decision was, because they didn't go and try and get video evidence and stuff, and it seems like it was just more pain of trying. It's always hard not to get emotional. But this feels like the only thing I have to speak out. And this is regarding the nurse that physically hit me, elbowed me in the chest. So assault and battery from 2021. And of course they don't tell you stuff like, hey, after something like that happens, go to this place, like College of Nurses. I didn't find out until trying so hard to find a lawyer that would, not require you to pay up front. It's slipping my mind, but you know what I mean? The one where if you win, they get paid. And it took almost a year later for a lawyer to be like, hey, you can go to the College of Nurses. There's a College of Nurses. There's a College of Doctors. And I had no idea. And you think someone would have told me before when I was complaining about a nurse hitting me and how I was treated at the hospital. I remember on the phone that was a big kind of rebuttal of, she didn't do it till almost a year later, and it's I said, that's because I didn't know. Nobody told me. But that was their big thing, and it was listed in the review letter too, still. Along with saying that the nurse somehow didn't know who I was or doesn't recall. And I find that funny, not ha 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 funny, but there's no way you are not going to remember going into the hall with somebody and literally skipping down the hall, holding their hand. He was holding my hand and we were skipping, because I don't know, they really do a lot of shit to me, and so we were skipping down the hall. And then when we stopped by the door where it requires to pass the card to scan, I had stopped beside him, he had stopped, we had let go hands already, and we were just standing there. And then I look at him and he turns around and elbows me in the chest for no reason. I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't making any moves that could suggest I was a threat, but there's no way you or anyone who witnesses, because there were witnesses, there were 2 female nurses that were yelling at him. Of course it doesn't go documented, but there's no way no one's gonna suddenly remember the girl holding your hand, skipping down the hall with you, that you had hit. And in the document it was saying how, none of it was documented, that he was assigned to you, and it's it wasn't documented that the other 2 nurses were there either. And there was 3 nurses. There was 2 female ones. One with short hair, one with bright blue eyes, because that is a trigger for me now, blue eyes, if it's because of that. And then, of course, the man who actually physically hurt me. And they were all there in my shared room, wanting to do blood tests, because I remember that they just kept saying they wanted to do blood tests. And yeah, so in my mind I didn't know why they wanted that, and I have a deep phobia of needles, so I was like taking, I don't want to get stabbed with anything that's horrible, and I was already put through a lot before that, like trauma after trauma. It's just so then I was just like, do you want to go for a walk to, the male nurse? And he said yes, and he grabbed my hand, and then we started skipping down the hall, and then stopped, and then he hit me, and I fell, I got hurt. It stayed with me. They actually had to help me up because he hurt me so bad, and they, instead of like taking me to get looked at right away, they just took me to solitary or whatever it's called. And I keep calling it solitary because in my mind that's what it was. It was a prison with no one else. And then after I told them about getting hit, that he hit me, I mean, there were witnesses, and they later, hours later, they took me like 10 hours later, I think it was documented in there, to go get an x-ray. And that's documented that they took a chest x-ray, but they didn't put that it was because the male nurse had hit me in the chest. No, they listed it as maybe it was a relative that caused physical violence. No, it wasn't. Like, how do you spin it that way? With the emphasis of importance of documenting everything, they did not document a lot that happened. And so it's so upsetting because I'm not gonna know all these details and suddenly know how he was working the exact same day he was working. Like, I'm not gonna magically know that he was working on the day he assaulted me, the exact same times, and then a day or two later that he was working again and handed me water. I'm not gonna know that. Just like, it's just so frustrating that I get no justice for anything they did to me. And like, especially what he did too, like physically hitting me. Like, I went through so much and it's still with me, and I don't know when I'll ever feel okay again. I'm sure it's annoying to see me make these videos again and again, but this really is the only way I feel like I can voice anything that was done wrong to me, and even have one person maybe hear it, because nobody else wants to bother hearing it that can actually do something. And of course, because it was a psychiatric part, they say whatever, like, she was just this or this. They make up excuses even though it was documented with my nurse practitioner that I had made the statements that I got hurt. I went to a cardiologist and to get checked. I couldn't lay on my sides for almost half a year because I was in so much pain from him elbowing me in the chest. And my family even could feel it. They saw the bruise. They saw bruises on my back that I couldn't see that weren't from the nurse. They were from other staff members. I don't know how immigration laws and all that happens if you weren't born in Canada and stuff, but I don't know if maybe he was just afraid that if it got actually, like, in file that he had assaulted someone, battered somebody, that he might get deported or something. Like I don't know how that works. I've only seen American TV, but I don't know if that's the issue. He was scared of that, but that's just no excuse. Like, I was hurt. He hurt me. They should be responsible. I should not have to live like this in pain. Thank you to anyone listening or who takes a second to care. Thank you.